Today I'm in Nusa Lembongan and I wanted to explain to you what it's like to rent a motorbike here on Nusa Lembongan and answer a few of the questions I've had over the recent weeks about how to do it, how much it costs and that sort of stuff. Let's get stuck in. The first thing we need to talk about is how big Nusa Lembongan is. It's quite big. It's so big that you can't walk from your accommodation to every other spot on the island. So if you're staying in Batu, you cannot walk to, for example, Nusa Lembongan. Well, you can, but it's just not really practical on a daily basis. I've actually run around the island once before. It's about 11 kilometres without going in and out to all the different bays. And there's another island called Nusa Lembongan, connected by the Yellow Bridge, which is something that you really should explore while you're in Nusa Lembongan, and you'll need some transport to get across to there as well. Motorbike rental here on Nusa Lembongan typically costs between 50,000 rupiah per day and 150,000 rupiah per day, depending on the size of the bike and depending on your negotiation skills, whether you get it from a rental agency or your hotel, that sort of thing. Now, it's possible to rent your motorbike straight from the dock as you get off the boat, or you can get to your hotel, rent it from your hotel, or one of the many rental agencies in town. You can get them all over the place, and your negotiation skills are really important because there's no fixed price on all of these motorbikes. Now, the variations that are on offer are the Honda Scoopy and the Yamaha NMAX. They're the main ones, and the Scoopy is a small bike, good enough for beginners. The NMAX, you don't really need one. I've had one before. For me, it's a little bit too big for what you require around this island. On Nusa Lembongan, you're not going to be asked to show a license to ride a motorbike, even though by law it's probably required. They're not going to ask you for one. I have a license, so it doesn't really matter, but if you don't have a license, they won't ask. The people on Nusa Lembongan don't wear helmets, even though legally in Indonesia you're supposed to. People don't wear helmets around here. The pace is quite slow. If you need a helmet, you can always get one from your rental agency. They'll be happy to provide one for you. Let's talk about the road conditions here on Nusa Lembongan. The roads here on Nusa Lembongan are pretty much like that most of the time. Yeah, you'll get some roads like that. You'll get really nicely paved roads along the main road in Batu, but it's quite variable, and in some areas it'll be just dirt and rock. Sometimes the roads are flooded, and if you have flooded roads you need to go a bit slower. You just need to be careful here because it's not as easy as just riding on the open highway. The other thing to note about the roads here is that they are quite narrow. Narrow roads mean you need to go slower. You have vehicles coming the other way that you need to squeeze past. You might have potholes, kids, bikes, animals, roosters, everything. So you just need to take it easy, take your time. Don't get overconfident, as I've seen a few people do recently, and you should be okay. Let's talk about safety. As I said, helmets are not necessary here, but if you need a helmet, if that's something that you really need to be able to get on a motorbike, please, by all means, get one. You don't really need any experience to ride here. It's really just like riding a bicycle with a little bit more power. You'll go a little bit faster than a bicycle. If you can ride a bicycle, you should be able to ride a motorbike here, no worries. A few things you need to be aware of are the local riding customs. Rules, yeah, there are rules, but rules and customs are different, and the way that people ride, you need to fit in with that because it's not your home country. So if people ride a certain way here, please, please, please abide by the local customs of the island. And that means slowing down, keep to the left. If someone doesn't want you to park somewhere, move on, that sort of stuff. Don't get all upset about someone chopping in front of you and that sort of thing. Keep a calm head, you'll be okay. There are no petrol stations on the island, so most of the time you'll be refueling from little kiosks on the side of the road. Petrol ranges anywhere from about 12,000 to 15,000 for a litre. It's not too expensive, and a litre will get you a long way on the island. In fact, most people won't even need to fill up while they're here because there'll be enough petrol in that motorbike that you won't be able to travel far enough to burn through it all. Let's talk about the highlights of riding a motorbike on Nusa Lembongan. Well, the number one highlight is actually the adventure of getting out on the road and feeling the wind in your hair and looking at all the scenery. It's absolutely fantastic. But apart from just the riding aspect, there are so many things you can see on Nusa Lembongan and Nusa Lembongan that you can't see by foot that it's really worth doing. You can't even really see some of these things on taxi or even on a tour. For example, the Devil's Tears, fantastic little spot on Nusa Lembongan. There is the cliff jumping spot out there, which it looks wild, but when the waves are not so big, it's a great place to go and jump into the ocean off a cliff at a cafe. There's the Yellow Bridge, which is an experience in itself. The Blue Lagoon is wild, absolutely worth a visit. And then just cruising to some of the nice cafes and warungs around Nusa Lembongan, like the Pirate. And then you've got like this little place I'm just stopped at here, which I've been to before, a little satay place, which I have featured on my bigger video about Nusa Lembongan as well. Believe me when I say, if you have any confidence in riding a bike, you've absolutely got to do it here, because there's so much to see and do, and it opens up so much more when you can actually ride a bike around both of these islands. So just some final thoughts. The thing about riding a motorbike on Nusa Lembongan is that it's a lot easier than riding in somewhere like Sanur or in the southern part of Bali, where it's quite hectic. The pace is fast and you've really got to have your wits about you. Here you're on island time and the pace is very slow. People are a lot more relaxed and you can just take it at your own pace and just ease into it. You don't need to be stressed about all the other traffic around. And it's easier than you might think. I highly recommend it, honestly. I think it's a great place to get on a motorbike. And with that said, please watch my other video on Nusa Lembongan. I'll link to it below and up here. That'll give you some good insight to what's happening in Nusa Lembongan more broadly and a bigger guide to what's going on. Thanks for watching. Make sure you hit that subscribe button to keep up to date with all things Sanur. I'll catch you next time.